Hello, my name is Mark, and this is my channel, Osiris Transitioning. Today I'm broadcasting here live from a coffee shop slash laundromat. Well, before I get started, the purpose of this channel is to document my transition from the United States to the Philippines. I would hope to provide travel tips and information that if anyone was interested to do such a thing, they could follow my lead. But before I get started, I would like to say that I had my laundry done in this location today. And my girlfriend Emmy took the clothes down and forgot to check my pockets. And so when we came in today to shoot the video, the man came to me and said, "Hey, sir, you left money in your pocket." And returned to me these four $100 bills, which is equivalent of 20,000 pesos in the Philippines, which is roughly 4 to 6 months pay for some. I was overwhelmed. But if there's any question about the kindness, the generosity, the integrity, and the honesty of the people in the Philippines, this is just one of many examples that I've had so far. What we're gonna do is move right into our costs. So far, I have been in the Philippines for 25 days. I arrived on the 6th of March. Well, actually the 8th of March. I took off from the United States to arrive in the Philippines. What I'm going to talk about is the breakdown of the various locations that I went to in the Philippines and the cost, starting from booking my plane ticket. So when I went to book the plane tickets for the Philippines, what I noticed that the plane tickets were $1,900 roughly. And so I began to check in various locations. I looked at Chicago. I'm stationed in Charlotte, North Carolina, by the way. But I looked in Chicago, Illinois, and California because I was looking to find the best deal. And all the tickets were roughly around $1,900. But I found that in New York, they had a business hopper going from New York. You had to go to Germany and Singapore, then to the Philippines. But that ticket was $1,200. So what I did was I booked that ticket for $1,200 and then bought another flight to New York from Charlotte, which was $200, which saved me $500 on the plane tickets, which I used to go to a different island. So the first thing I talk about is the flight. I paid $1,400 total, $1,200 to fly from New York to Singapore, and then I got a round trip ticket from Charlotte to New York for $200. I had a PCR test. At the time I traveled to the Philippines, you had to have a rapid PCR test 48 hours prior to the flight. I answered the questions properly, honestly, and was told that I did not qualify for a free testing, so I had to pay for the testing. That testing was $185. And then I had travel insurance. Now the recommended amount for travel insurance, I believe, is $20,000. But I knew I was gonna be doing a lot of things and taking a few risks on this trip, so I ended up getting a $100,000 policy for $117. When I landed in Cebu, the first week I stayed in a condo. Now, I've been coming to the Philippines since 2017. I've been to the Philippines, this is my 9th trip. I've been here 9 times, and I usually use Airbnb because I like to cook my own food. I'm here for a long amount of time, and I generally get a better deal. And then you get to submerge yourself among the people, which is one of the reasons that I fell in love with the Philippines and wanted to make that transition in the first place. So I stayed 1 week in the condo in Lahug, Apas, which is not too far from IT Park, which is one of the most progressive, modern areas in Cebu. And for 7 nights, I paid $110. And that was a 1-bedroom condo with a full kitchen, bathroom, staff, everything, the works, man. And look, I should really be there now, but that's a whole different story for another video. Then after that, I took that extra money that I saved from my plane tickets and took me and my girlfriend to Palawan. So we flew from Cebu City to Palawan, round trip, $440, which is phenomenal. I'm gonna give you a little tip here though. You get the book. So most people in the Philippines when they travel, this was in Cebu Pacific. Most people in the Philippines, when they travel, they don't travel heavy. Your plane ticket coming from America will include your luggage, but your in-country travel within the Philippines will not. I advise you to purchase your luggage package online because it would be triple the cost if you did not. Also, you would think when you bought the travel package with your baggage that it would be round trip, but it's not. It's actually one way. So that way you haul all your stuff to, let's say, Palawan or Boracay and that kind of thing. But then when you come on the way back, you realize that you don't have a baggage package, and they'll hit you again with that triple. It's roughly $1,200 per 20 kilos. 20 kilos is roughly about 40 pounds. But anyway, so we paid $140 for a round trip airfare to Palawan. Once we got to Palawan, we stayed 10 days. Now, I had tried to book an Airbnb as usual, but was not allowed to because of restrictions on the island. So what ended up happening is that we stayed at the Visitors Motel Caron. Wonderful place. They came and picked us up at the airport. The transfer fees was 250 pesos per person, which is roughly about $5 each. I stayed there 10 days at a cost of $26. My resort bill. So while I'm there, I'm doing, not so much room service, but I'm having drinks and tea and food and things like that inside the hotel. I spent approximately $80 on that. But what we found is when we went off into the town, Palawan is probably one of the most expensive places in all of Cebu, in all of the Philippines, I'm sorry. So it was outrageous. One time we went and got some garlic rice and some of these little pancit noodles. I had a couple beers, my girl had some water. It was 800 pesos, which is like $16. So I was like, this is unrealistic. There's no way that I could get full in Palawan at these prices. So what I did, because I'm resourceful and I'm always looking for a way to save money, the restaurant at the hotel had a kitchen. But they only served breakfast. So what I did was that I bought enough food every day to feed the staff, which was roughly about 1,000 pesos or $20, fed all the staff and me meals. And it was literally cheaper for me to feed the hotel staff than it was for me to eat in the restaurants. So that's what I chose to do. So while I was there, I also spent another $100 on food. And then I spent another $100 roughly around town tasting. I would call it a tasting. It was really like eating, because like I said before, you're not really getting that much food. And then I spent $100 in the markets on the groceries, like I said. So the total between food and groceries was $200. And then we took a couple tours. We took like a 5 or 6 island tour where they put you on the boat. It's all day. You get food and transportation, everything but your snorkeling gear. The average tour in Palawan costs about $50 US, 2,500 pesos. So we did one tour, and that was $100. And then we flew back to Cebu after being in Palawan for 10 days. And I went to Villaba Leyte to see my girl's family and visit there. And I have been to Leyte several times. It's one of my favorite places. And it's where I plan to make my residence in my transition. So she has 2,000 squares in San Isidro and a 200 square meter lot in Palampan. So we were going to look at the lot, do an assessment, and determine the type of house structure that we can put on the land, and if it would be viable for me. She wanted to make sure that there was some place that I really wanted to be, and I would say I'd give a thumbs up to that. So we took a ferry from Cebu to Ormoc City. The ferry was 1,000 pesos per person, which I think was kind of high. I've been coming here a long time. I would have to say that this time traveling to the Philippines, that you can really see the cost of the inflation that's taking place around the world. Normally that would be about 700 pesos per person. So I would say the inflation rate on travel and food is about 30%. So we took a ferry there, and going back, that was $80. Once I got to Villaba, we stayed in a room. It was kind of flea bitten, but it was really the only boarding house in town. and we paid a total of 1,600 pesos, which is around $36. Now, food and drinks and groceries there, I spent about $80. But the thing is, we had eaten daily and had also bought food for her family. One time a celebration where there was probably 10 or 15 people, and also a karaoke machine and things like that. So we ate, everyone ate, the entire family ate all the time we was there for that amount of money. And so then we left from there and went back to Ormoc City and got a room for about $18. Another thing where I should have booked online prior and I did not, which I regret. So then once I got there, I had to like just look around for a hotel that was by the dock because I was leaving first thing in the morning, 6 o'clock ferry. And I didn't want to risk coming out of the mountain trying to get to the ferry because my plan was to move on to San Carlos to see one of my good friends and vlogger, Sunshine Shoulders. Shout out to you, brother, one time. And the food there, we spent another 1,000 pesos or $20 because they had a fair going on in the park. So we walked around and tasted the food and things of that nature, which was really interesting. That was the first time. I didn't even know they had a park next to the ferry like that because I'm usually in Ormoc City on just an in and out. So from there, we went back to Cebu and then took a bus and another ferry to go to an area called San Carlos, Negros Occidental, which is a beautiful retirement town, still in the Visayan region. Just one island from Cebu, but 2 islands from Leyte. There, I probably spent the most in lodging. I was paying $50 a night, but the place was world class. I'm talking marble floors, man, windows from floor to ceiling, just hand and foot service. The food was world class. The chefs were magnificent. It was fabulous for the $20 for that $50 a night. But that's usually way outside of my range. I usually get a whole house for like a fraction of that. But no complaints. Like I said, it was world class. The hospitality and everything there was great. So I spent roughly with taxes and everything, about $170. And then my food, drink bill, and all of that kind of things there was another $40. I would say that I also spent, just tipping and everything the whole trip, probably about $100, and including transportation too, like catching a cab here, catching a cab there. We had additional food costs in San Carlo, hanging out and things like that, but they were pretty much insignificant, roughly around $80. So then after 3 days there, which I hated to leave, but I knew that it was time to go, we were back in Cebu. I'm staying in IT Park right now in the Avita in the Avita Towers. I have another video that I'm gonna upload. I'm paying $26 a night, world class, in the best part of town, a brand new building, magnificent. I'm talking $26 a night, fellas. And then you have your own kitchen. You know, I'm real big on eating my own food and cleaning it and things like that. And I'm just that type of person. So it's imperative that I'm in a position that I can do that. So I'm willing to pay that little bit of extra. But what you'll find is in Cebu City, even if you get a hotel room, you can't beat $26, bro. It's just wonderful. And women also. I'm not just pitching this channel to men only. I think that women could really benefit from the experience of the Philippines. I started coming here basically for foods that heal, and then fell in love with the culture and people, which is really why I'm making that transition. But I'm staying here. I'm staying here from the 31st to the 5th, which is roughly about 5 days. I'm paying $165. So far on food and recreation, I went to the grocery store today in Ayala Mall, which is it's ridiculously expensive for the Philippines. So my food and stuff is about $80. Later on today, we're going to be going to they have a food court in IT Park, so you'll be getting the sounds and sights and all the nature of the activity that takes place in IT Park on the weekends. So if you got time, I would ask you to also view that video. And if any of this information is you find interesting or rewarding for you, or something you think you might do, I would ask that you subscribe and please press that like button. So my total cost so far for this trip, including airfare, PCR test, everything, is $3,425 US dollars. Which, considering the cost of the plane tickets, I think that's a deal. I've been to 4 different islands. I had a wonderful time. Palawan has been voted the most beautiful place in the world 5 out of the last 10 years. I would say that it's really worth it. And I hope that this video has helped you. Have a wonderful evening. These two are the staff members of the coffee shop / laundromat.
Hello.
Who actually found my money, and I just wanted to put them on there and let them know that I'm happy that you guys are so honest and have such integrity and are willing to do the right thing even in the toughest of circumstances. I just want to let the world see and let the world know that the people of the Philippines are good, honest, hardworking people.
No problem, sir.